Mike Reis with Saluki Hall of Famer John Smith, coach and shot putter, athlete. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You are so well accomplished, and your accomplishments run so long. If we listed them, there'd be no time to. And you're aware of your accomplishments.
Yep.
So, what does something like this mean to you?
Well, SIU is near and dear to my heart. I came here years ago. I was recruited by some bigger schools, but they didn't make any offers that was any substantial. But I came here when I met Rob Roeder and I seen Stan Podolsky and Bob Rogie and Johnny Marks out in that field where the football stadium is sitting right now. I knew this was the place to be. I mean, they didn't show me the track because the track was a piece of pavement. The road outside was better than the track was back then. I didn't get to see that. I didn't get to see a weight room. I didn't get to see anything. Lou's like, I'll show it to you later. So basically, I really signed just because of what I seen on that practice field that day and that afternoon. And I don't regret it, and I'd do it again in a second.
And you must have known something about Hartsock and knew about the program too, or did you?
Sure, yeah. I mean, SIU back in those days was feared. I mean, I knew things were really different once I was on the team. I remember going to Dogwood Relays when I was a freshman. And we were about ready to get off the bus, and I seen the University of Georgia got off, and they walked by us. And I listened, and two of them I heard them say, "Oh crap, SIU's here. Yeah, this is going to be hard to win events here today." And when I heard that as a freshman, I was like, "Yeah, we were feared. We were very special back then. I mean, wherever we went, we cleaned house." I remember my senior year, we had dual meet with University of Oregon, which ended up being the national champions that year. And they actually, after they started seeing what we were doing, they actually canceled on us.
Wow. Mm-hmm. John, you know about SIU's history as before and after you as well as anybody. Yes. The 80 to 84 teams that you were on, are those the best teams ever? I
would say the 84 team was probably the best ever. We had like 12 All-Americans on a team. We had that 3 flat mile relay, which was Lou's baby. And we got to get that team in the Hall of Fame as a group. That has to happen. And my buddy John, he was a big part of that team. The mile relay team guys did more than just be a mile relay. They ran the 2, they ran the 4. We had quarter hurdlers, we had regular hurdlers, we had a 4x1. We had field eventers. Sarah would, get second in a decathlon, also come back the next day and score in the pole vault. And those are things that you don't see anymore today. Everybody's a specialist. So everybody, back in those days, we were all killing ourselves for points for the team. And and I think my senior year we were 5th. Yeah, drop baton probably cost us getting 3rd or 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun, and we were class track. We really were, and what people don't understand about Saluki track and field is that we're known here for basketball, and basketball is great, and I love basketball here. Going to Sweet 16s, but in Europe, everybody knows SIU for track and field. My manager, who is from Ireland, told me one time that he goes, everybody in Europe knows about SIU when it comes to track and field, and especially the throws.
Your shot put record lasted for 31 years.
Yeah.
What did you think of that record then when you said it? Were you impressed?
I always being an athlete, you always think you should do better. And I didn't think it would stand that long. And then it got to the point where, I was like, all right, I got to come back here and get rid of that record. so it was basically we got rid of it, with Josh, and then JC coached Jarrett to even put it out further. But by today's standards, that is better than average throw. But back in those days, I was one of the first guys that started spinning. I was one of the first guys that started spinning out of high school. Now it's, that was the infancy of the rotation technique. And from there, it's just gotten better and better and better over the years.
Some coaches who were good players or good athletes still think of themselves as players or athletes. What do you think of yourself, and what are you more impressed with that you did here, as an athlete or a coach?
I love being an athlete here, but I was a B-level athlete. And what did John Madden say? B athletes make the best coaches.
Yeah.
And I learned, because I wasn't super talented, and I noticed other guys that I competed against and their talent levels. I learned that, you know, I had to do things better, and I had to find ways to train better, more efficiently. And then when I got stuck with the duties of coaching everybody, because after my freshman year, my coach left. And so I kind of like, we're standing out there in the field and everybody's looking at me. I was like, all right, let's do this. And that was the start of my coaching career right there, right here at SIU, because we didn't have a coach. So I ended up being a coach. And then it poured over into the women's team in 85 and 86. Don DeNoon asked me to be a grad assistant. And I did that when I had the first All-American in the history of the school with Rhonda McCausland. And then it just snowballed after that. And then I went to work for the family business, and I was always working with high school kids. And I was sending kids to Division I schools, I think 19 or 20 of them, and out of state Indiana. And then basically after that, Ohio State called and wanted Connie to be the throwing coach. Connie was still competing, and Connie said, well, I don't coach, John does the coaching. So they said, well, have him come over here tomorrow for an interview. So actually I went over to Ohio State, had an interview. I was their third choice. The first guy wanted too much money, so they said no to him. The second guy they were going to give the job to, he was a younger guy, and he actually had some kind of heart condition. He actually passed away.
Yeah.
And so I was the last guy in line going, ooh, 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 I'll take it. And that's how I got my first coaching job, honest to God. And I always said, if they let me in, if you guys let me in, I had nothing but a bunch of walk-ons. One of my Ohio State girls are here today, was a walk-on. Was a 3-time All-American. And so they let me in Ohio State, and I went to work, and I ended up having 20 Big Ten champs, and I think it was 19 or 20 All-Americans and a couple NCAA champions. And once they let me in, they ain't getting me out. It's because I knew I can coach, and I knew I wasn't going to get any money there, but I knew state of Ohio, every kid in the state of Ohio wants to be a Buckeye. Yeah. So I had walk-ons among walk-ons I could choose from.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, the things that you would have done here: recruiting, developing, behind the scenes stuff for the entire team, not just the thrower. I mean, where do you feel was your biggest impact here?
My biggest impact here was, honestly, what made the whole thing work was Connie. Mm-hmm. Okay, people don't understand that the kids I was bringing into SIU were the ones that nobody wanted. And so I would bring a kid in, and Connie would ask me, John, are you sure about this one? I'd say, yeah, I'm sure. And they were like 40 feet and 137. That was Geneva. Are you sure, John? Are you sure? Now, at Ohio State, Russ Rogers would have just said, get out of my office. So Connie had enough faith in me with watching what I did with her and other people that we would give a girl that wasn't worth a full ride, and then I would develop them. I recruited on what I thought I could make them into, not what they were. The only person that was worth a full ride walking in the door here was Raven Saunders. Mm-hmm. And I didn't recruit Raven. Her high school coach sent her here. Oh. So in the end, I didn't recruit much. All my money circulated within the team because I get these walk-ons, they get good, I have to reward them. And so I really didn't recruit that much.
Yeah, but your success recruited for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not have recruited Raven, but if the program wasn't
no,
any good,
the program wasn't what it was.
You can recruit differently.
She had an old coach, and he did research across the country, and he basically looked at when kids came in and when they left, how much better they got, and he said that you were off the charts compared to anybody. He said, that's where I'm sending her. And that's how it happened.
On the way out here, John Smith coaches at Ole Miss now. Mm-hmm. You're so blue collar.
Oh, yeah.
You like coaching in the SEC? Or am I misjudging what I think the SEC is?
Well, let's put it this way. I enjoyed SIU, and one big factor that a lot more is I enjoyed being a giant killer. I enjoyed going up against the big schools and going to national meets and pounding on those guys that had all the resources and everything. And I can remember when I got the job at Ole Miss, they wanted Connie real bad, but they were scared of me, So I remember going to lunch with the head football strength coach and a guy who was over track and field. And they asked me, the guy said, well, do you think you can make it in this conference? I said, I've already beat this conference. And Shannon was like, yeah, he has. And I remember talking to Ross, who's now the AD at Texas A&M, and Ross was saying, well, you got any concerns? And I said, yeah, I do. Well, what is that? I said, you baby these kids around here so much that I don't know if I can get them tough enough to win national titles because of everything you give these kids. Mm-hmm. And they do. They spoil, SEC spoils these kids to death. They give them, the stuff my kids get, I just go, not more stuff. Now they're trying to give them $6,000. I mean, on top of their scholarships. I mean, and they're going to get it.
You'll find a way to make it work, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still coach the same way. I still coach the kids. I got 3 girls from the south side of Chicago that nobody wanted. One of them won the NCAA title, Janaea Stewart, and I got Jasmine Mitchell that threw farther than Brittany Riley at the same time. And then I have a walk-on girl from Virginia that ended up being a monster for me, 3-eventer, just like Geneva, threw farther than Geneva did as a freshman, by far. And then I have Shay, who got second at the NCAAs, was top American. And Shay was like, literally 42 feet in high school, just like Geneva. But again, I remember the college coaches from the SEC would tease Connie. He's like, where do you get this girl? I went to look her up on a list. I can't even find her name on no list somewhere. And Connie just says, hey, as good as she was in high school, you guys wouldn't even have bothered. So I actually do the same thing I did when I was here. Then what makes it worse is because my wife's the head coach, and I can, instead of the head coach saying, get out of my office, she's like, okay, are you sure? Are you sure about this one? And so I get those diamonds in the rough that nobody else can get. And it really angers the other coaches in the conference because they know I go after a kid, and they know who I'm going after, and they know the kid's going to be good if I'm going after him, but they can't touch him. So that's my recruiting advantage right there.
Congratulations. Well done. Well earned.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
John Smith, Saluki Hall of Famer.